You seen the latest Biden gaffes, the Super Bowl video, the press conference with the King of Jordan? It's getting worse. We'll talk to a medical professional about just how bad the threat to all of our national security could be. That's next here on your weekly reality check. Don't touch that remote.
If I were Biden, I would stay hidden, and I'll tell you why. He doesn't inspire confidence, and he's not a great messenger for himself.
That's Van Jones, Obama appointee, on CNN saying, put Biden back in the basement. Why? Maybe it has to do with something like this. Right after the Super Bowl, this is a video the White House posted trying to make the incumbent look good.
Well, man, you got chicken fingers, you got the whole deal. I went the route of making sure I had the hamburger. So tell me about you guys. What you doing these days?
Why don't you share about your passion in sports?
I'm playing AAU basketball right now.
Are you really? Are you guard?
Yes, sir.
Now, what grade are you in?
7th grade.
7th grade.
That man should be in old people's home. This isn't just about politics, it's about national security. Let's understand the implications of having that man next to the nuclear football every single day with the president of the Jasser Center for Comprehensive Care, former lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy, and a great patriot, a friend of mine, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Dr. Jasser, we discussed this on Rob Schmidt's show, and I just want to extend that conversation, especially after two things. The DOJ report by Robert Hur saying we're not going to prosecute him for mishandling classified information because he's old and senile. And then we have footage like this from a few days ago after our troops are killed in Jordan. The King of Jordan comes to the White House, and look at Biden. Biden has no idea what's going on. He moves to one side, he moves to the other side, he moves back again. The king has to kind of grin and a laugh because Biden's just clearly not compos mentis. You're a national security professional in your past life. You're a medical professional now. How serious is this from the national security perspective, Doctor?
I can't tell you, Seb, how serious this is. You know, as a naval doctor, I used to clear our officers to be able to serve on nuclear submarines, to be able to serve as pilots. And then I was a physician to Congress in the late 90s. So I get it. At the end of the day, you know, listen, if you have as a physician, for example, I have an obligation to report other physicians that I think have impairment, even though they're not my patients and even though I might not have examined them, but because I have an obligation to those patients. Because if I see them, you know, if your surgeon comes out of the operating room and tells you, well, I had a great time talking to my colleague, C. Everett Koop, and you know that Koop passed away and was under the Reagan administration 30 years ago, you'll be, as a patient, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I wonder what the surgeon did to my family member on the operating table. And this is what's happening with President Biden. Behind the curtain, we don't know what's happening. This is the most demanding profession on the planet, and he's had the most significant health care that you could have. And his doctor, O'Connor, you know, listen, I have patients every day that I see that have mild cognitive impairment, moderate, severe. Then they have dementia, mild, moderate, severe. I would have had him on medications earlier, but we know if he was going to be on Aricept for dementia or if he was going to be on the drugs he should have been on to prevent progression, it would have been game over and he would have been out of politics. But, you know,
and then you compare it.
Yeah.
You compare it to President Trump, you know, every week, multiple rallies, flying across the country, seemingly indefatigable. I don't know if he, you know, sleeps at all. So the comparison couldn't be starker. And last question, why is it that the current White House physician allegedly doesn't want to make any statement and they're refusing to have the president take a cognitive competency test? 30 seconds. Why would that be, Dr. Jasser?
It's just a cover-up. This is the ultimate of cover-ups, and that they're not. There's neurocognitive testing that could be done, and that the medical professional that's signing off that he is full of full capacity should be held accountable, just like we hold accountable every other advisor. And I've been one of those advisors as a medical lieutenant commander, taking care of members of Congress and others for a few years. He should be held accountable for the neurocognitive capacity of our commander-in-chief.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think there's no better phrase for it. It is the cover-up, perhaps the cover-up of all cover-ups. I know you have to get back to work at treating your patients. God bless you for your service in and out of uniform. A great patriot, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. All right, let's